Questions?
Well, Coach, first day of week 3, I know you talked over the weekend about how this is kind of when you're looking at evaluating more. What did you notice today that maybe was different than the last couple of weeks?
We'll start defensively. Defensively, we've got some guys who are playing extremely consistent. Offensively, we've got some guys who are playing consistent. Right now, we've probably got more young guys on the offensive side of the ball than the defensive side of the ball. So there's a little bit more continuity and flow on the defense. Offensively, you could start to see the younger guys are kind of rising to the occasion. Now, part of that is because we kind of throttled back a little bit on what we were asking them to do, trying to let them bank some reps on some things. Coming off of Saturday, I told the guys in the meeting that we were little in the scrimmage, right? We'd go 3 or 4 plays, defense would be phenomenal, and then we'd let up a big play. Offense would go 2 or 3 plays in a row and, couldn't get, everything online, then they hit a big play. So we've got to be able to kind of even that out a little bit. I don't think when you play a really good defense or offense that it should be one-sided. We talked about having the competitive back and forth early in the spring. But what you don't want is negative 80 yards, negative 80 yards. You want to be able to kind of even it out a little bit to where in practice it's fighting for every inch or every yard and forcing contested catches and forcing physical runs. That's when you're going to end up getting better as a whole.
Coach, following Saturday's scrimmage and today, how would you evaluate the quarterbacks?
Probably Cade probably took a step forward. Cam probably took a step forward just because he's starting to bank some reps, if that makes sense. He's starting to run some of the plays over and over again, even if we move the pieces around him a little bit. We made the quarterbacks live, for a portion of the scrimmage, on Saturday because there's some guys in there that haven't been hit in college yet. I won't say which one, but one of them ran by me after he scrambled and said, "Whoa, it's in high school. That guy's fast." So just a little bit of trying to expose them, in this time period to see what they do under pressure. So I think Cam took a step. I think, Cade, continue to do some really good things. I think Seth has started to be able to manage his workload a little bit. What we're giving the young guys, Chase and Peter, they are starting to become more comfortable with. We're kind of like they're on baby food. And the other guys are kind of on, real food, but they're starting to digest the baby steps a lot quicker. Even in the portion of the scrimmage they got in, their decision-making was a lot quicker. The ball was getting out and going to the right direction, which is what we want, right? We know they can stand back there and throw it and put a highlight tape together of them throwing, but processing it in the fire, I think they took a step on Saturday. I'm talking about the younger guys.
Coach Stephen Gilmore, a guy at cornerback, we've heard a lot of good things from you about this spring. I know Micah Abraham's another guy that saw a good bit of the field at that position last year, but behind Gilmore, who are the guys at corner that you're seeing this spring, and what are you seeing out of them?
Yeah, I think right now, Micah Bowers, he played a good bit last year. He got injured early in the beginning of the season, kind of came back. We played him at some star last year just because of depth issues, but he's back at corner and doing a really good job. And then we got Jacoby Henderson is probably the one kind of, he's like the puppy in the kennel with all the big dogs, and he's probably the loudest, scrappiest guy, not verbally, but he's fighting his tail off. He's still trying to gain the confidence in the technique in the heat of the moment. He works the technique, he does good, but when that guy gets on him, he's got to be able to go back to it. And right now he's probably 50-50. With using the technique, making a good play, getting caught in a situation, maybe bigger receiver, deeper route, faster guy, bad technique, and he's probably a step behind. But those 4 guys right now between Gilmore, Abrams, Bowers, and Jacoby are kind of rolling with that first couple of groups and doing a pretty good job so far.
Jumping back to Cam, you talked about him this spring. How important is it for his development just as a quarterback? Younger guy comes back, the only one with experience. How important is this spring for him to kind of gain some confidence heading into this year?
Yeah, well, I think it's ultra important. I think it's also important for the other guys around him to kind of gain some confidence in his ability as well. You know, if he wins the job and he becomes the quarterback on the team, then they're going to have to believe in his ability. You know, they're going to have to believe that when he rolls out there under center, that he's going to be able to operate and not just make the throws. And I think sometimes because he has arm talent, right? He can throw the ball really well. You know, you kind of get in these 7-on-7s in the summer, or you kind of get off on their 1-on-1s when they're throwing with, you know, each other kind of on their own, and he wows them with his arm talent. But there's also so much more, you know, it's controlling the huddle, it's making sure guys are aligned, it's getting us in the right check. And those are the things that he's getting exposed to now, and he's building confidence on, not only to show himself and the coaches, hey, I can do this, but to show his teammates.
Coach, a couple of guys you've talked about previously, like Brian Robinson and Caleb Coombs. You talk about those guys and how they did Saturday and just the rest of the wide receivers.
Yeah, I actually think, you know, Caleb Coombs probably did some good things. You know, he probably had, you know, a handful of plays where you're kind of scratching your head, you know, just that youthfulness. But when you talk to him, what he was thinking makes sense. You know, you just got to explain to him, hey, it's a little bit different situation. You know, hey, oh, coach, I thought he was going to be outside, or I thought he was going to move outside. So he's at least digesting the information correctly. Now we got to get him to process it correctly, if that makes sense. But when he does get the ball in his hand, he's got some unbelievable COD, change of direction. He's got really good burst. He's the one wide receiver that we have that probably has the quickest 10-yard burst, if that makes sense. You know, I mean, when he catches the ball, he can get some steps in the ground quickly. Brian Robinson is another receiver right now. We're playing him at multiple positions to try to figure out, you know, hey, can he play inside? Can he play outside? He's got really good speed. He's got really strong hands. We're trying to find out, okay, is he, you know, a backside single X receiver? Is he playing the slot? Moving him around a little bit. When you see him in positions that he's gotten a lot of reps in, he looks extremely smooth and confident. When he gets kind of in those positions where it's a little bit new, you can see him kind of thinking a little bit. But again, you can see these guys thinking. It's not that they don't know. I think we're at that point in spring now where they know what to do. It's how fast are they processing what they see at full speed with the timing and the decisions on the routes.
How about a guy like Jaden HarrisonSaul? Saw some action last year, coming back into an experienced receiver group. What does he bring to the table?
Yeah, he's really starting to take. He's been really consistent the last, 3 or 4 days with just the contested catches. You know, it's easy to catch the ball. Well, it's not easy because we drop those too, but it's easy to catch the ball when you're wide open, right? That's what you do. You're a receiver. You should be able to catch it. In this league that we're going into, we're not going to have many wide open catches. There's going to be a lot of contested catches. And Jaden has started to really catch the ball in contested situations a lot more consistently. And that's what you got to be able to do, right? The quarterback's got to have the trust in you that whatever route you're running, if you have a step on the guy or you got leverage on the guy, that if he locates the ball in the right position, that you're going to be able to catch it contested. And Jaden's been able to do that the last couple of days, which is something that we didn't see him do a lot of last year. And as the spring's gone on, he's really been able to show us that he's, at least worked on over the winter off season, just the ability to track the ball in traffic and contested catches, being strong, going up, making some catches.
Coach, a couple of new guys in the secondary on the back end, Isaiah Norman and Andre Sam. How are those guys filling in, and how are they, I guess getting used to maybe Coach Widry's, defense and his philosophies?
Yeah, the positive about Andre is he played for Coach Guidry as a freshman. Coach Guidry recruited him, and he was there a year and he left. So he kind of knows, he had a leg up on those guys learning the defense. He got a pick on the goal line on Saturday and went 96 faster than a blink of an eye. For all you guys that have been here, he's going to be very similar to Corey McCoy. As far as he's a little bit taller than Corey. If they got in a foot race, it would be down to the wire. But he's a little bit taller, a little bit longer. So he flashes a little bit more. I think his background with the defense has helped him kind of come in and kind of get rolling. Isaiah's a guy who's a little bit more of a physical, thumper guy. So we're playing him a little bit more. He'll be similar to Brandon Drayton's position, if that makes sense. He and Drayton are similar in some aspects. Drayton, probably with a little more experience at this level, was able to kind of anticipate some things a little bit better. Isaiah's learning this defense, but he flashed in the run game and the run fits on Saturday, which was impressive. Obviously, in the coverage portion of it, we do so much where we're moving guys that it really doesn't put our safeties in coverage threats, if that makes sense. Where those guys are really in one-on-one situation, they're usually kind of middle of the field or roaming. But even then, you can kind of see them, reading the quarterback's eyes, getting to the right depths, overlapping some routes, which is a good sign. I mean, Paul just on here doesn't want to ask any questions. The guy just wants to hear Coach Huff talk. I mean, he's probably doing his homework or something for Bible study tonight.
Anything else? All right.
I mean, if he wants to rip on Paul some more, I'd listen to that all day.
That's fine. That's fine. Somebody's got to be the Tom Bragg this week.
Yeah, we got to give Tom a break. We don't want him going to transfer portal on us, so we got to be easy on
Right.
him.
I'm good with that. That's fine. I'll take that bird.
Yeah. But no, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Obviously, we're excited. I know you guys got the announcement about the spring game, and I think it'll be, the game is the game, right? The Herd are going to win, but I think it'll be a good event. One of the things, I know everybody's probably got opinions on where and why. One of the things we did not want to do, I think the Huntington community and Marshall University is special for the spring game. It gets everybody back to Huntington. It gets everybody back, here. So we didn't want to move it somewhere and become a logistical nightmare and rent and buy and all this stuff around the country, although there are great places to go, but we wanted to make sure the heart of this university is here in Huntington. So we wanted to make sure whatever we did from a logistical standpoint that we kept, the core value of being here in Huntington is kind of the foresight. There were a lot of other options. I know everybody wanted us to go to Greenbrier. I don't think the governor wanted to give us a deal on that, so I don't know if that would have worked out. I know Charleston was an option. There were a lot of options that were good options, but I think the 45 minutes or an hour of the game is one thing, but people spending time here in Huntington, tailgating, just kind of being around, our culture and our football family, we wanted to keep that intact. So I'm excited. I know there's a lot going on that weekend. Hopefully everybody is calling their friends and family coming back and want to spend some time to kind of kick this season off the right way. So thanks, guys. Go Herd.